What is up, freaks? It's your boy Marty Bent here to introduce this rip of Tales from the Crypt. Sat back down with the ZEBEEDEE and Mint Gox teams. Desiree Dickerson from Lightning Labs / Mint Gox and Mint Gox, not slash. Christian Moss from ZEBEEDEE and Michael Tidwell from ZEBEEDEE as well. First time having Michael on the podcast. Great conversation about how the Lightning Network Infuse product that ZEBEEDEE has built is working with their CSGO servers. They've amassed a pretty large community of gamers playing CSGO for sats. It's pretty insane. Thousands, over 10,000 people playing now. We talk about the ways in which the players are farming for sats, the incentive structures built in the game, how they're sort of iterating on the product as they learn about user tendencies, as they try to stack as many sats as possible, the slang around it, the technical infrastructure necessary to make this all work, and then I talk about what's going to be going down at Bitcoin 2021, biggest Bitcoin-enabled eSports event ever. So if you freaks are in Miami, make sure you stop by the eSports arena that's going to be at the conference and check it out. Everything seems pretty dope. This rip was brought to you by our good friends at Cash App. Cash App's helping you stack sats, send sats, receive sats, sell sats. If you so please, we're saying sats. Sats, sats. Sats, 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 sats. Sats, sats. Sats, 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 sats. Because we're trying to fix the unit bias, that Unix bias. I wish there was a Unix bias. At least for our critical infrastructure. Seem to have a Microsoft bias. But we're fixing the unit bias. There's 100 million sats in one Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a fraction of Bitcoin. You can stack whole sats. As little as $1 on the Cash App. You can DCA in the sats. You can buy daily, weekly, bi-weekly. You can set it and forget it that way. You can get your paychecks direct deposited into the app. They're offering account numbers and routing numbers. It can become your bank account. They've got their beautiful boost card, great conversation starter. If you put a little Bitcoin sign on that, maybe not so good OPSEC-wise, so weigh that trade-off for yourself personally. Can you protect yourself? They got their boost program already mentioned. So if you haven't downloaded the Cash App yet, make sure you do so using the code STACKINGSATS. That's STACKINGSATS. You're going to get $10, and $10 is going to go to our good friends at Owls Lacrosse. Not that dirty dirtbag Owl. We totally took something Matt and I said on Rabbit Hole Recap out of context and spreading rumors on Twitter. He's a dirty, dirty individual. These $10 are going to go to Owls Lacrosse. Owls Lacrosse. Woo, woo, woo. This rip was also excuse me, brought to you by our good friends at Hodl Hodl. Hodl Hodl is here to give you freaks a lending platform. Lend at Hodl Hodl is a new non-custodial Bitcoin-packed lending platform that allows peer-to-peer lending and borrowing between users globally, anonymously, and on your own terms. No KYC, no AML. You have part custody of the escrow account when you set it up, and it's available to U.S. clients. So the way it works is you put your Bitcoin as collateral in a multi-sig escrow. You hold one key. Your counterparty holds one key. Hodl Hodl holds the third key. The beauty of this is that since you hold a key, you have visibility into the wallet in which your sats are being held over the duration of the loan, so you can be sure that it's not being rehypothecated, being lent out without your knowledge. You know that it's locked in that escrow. As long as you're paying your loan out, you're paying your payments back over the duration of that loan, you're going to get your sats back at the end of the day. So you put your Bitcoin as collateral, you get stable coins in return, then you can go spend them how you see fit, and if you're paying back the loan again, you get your Bitcoin back. If you want to lend your stable coins out to Bitcoiners looking for liquidity, you can do so by entering the other side of that order book, and you'll get some interest in return. So create your own offers, set your own terms on lend.hodlhodl.com. Again, non-custodial, no KYC, no AML. You make the terms with your partner. It's pretty beautiful. Shout out to Hodl Hodl. They got some big news on the horizon too, I believe. Look out for that. This rip was also brought to you by our good friends at Compass Mining. Compass Mining's looking to take the complexity out of mining for individuals. They want more individuals mining, and the way they're doing that is they're setting up a platform which you go into compassmining.io, compassmining.io. You pick a mining model, you pay for the miner, then you pick a hosting facility, with competitive electricity cost. So you're not plugging it in your house paying above 10 cents in some places, heating up your house, loud noises to make your wife, your girlfriend, your cat, your dog angry at you. You send it to a hosting facility with competitive electricity prices. So you buy the miner, you pick the hosting facility, Compass Mining acquires the miner, plugs it in at that facility, and then they start streaming sats to an account of your choice. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So go check them out at compassmining.io. We have a special link in the show notes that helps us out if you use that, if you're thinking about using Compass Mining. So if you are, check out that link. Last but not least, this episode was brought to you by our good friends at Brains. Brains. BRAIINS. Never forget the double I, freaks. Never forget the double I. Brains is the team behind Slush Pool. All right? Slush Pool, oldest mining pool in the Bitcoin space. Ever heard of it? Pretty legendary. We're not here. Well, we are here to talk about Slush Pool a little bit, but mainly what we're here to talk about is the Brains OS Plus manager, right? Brains offers firmware, Brains OS Plus, for miners. So for particular models, if you have a model that's Brains OS Plus firmware compatible, you download the Brains OS Plus firmware on your miner and it helps you stack more sats. It's as simple as that. And if you're doing that, they just released the Brains OS Plus Manager, a new online platform that enables miners to remotely monitor and manage all their ASICs running Brains OS Plus. This is going to help you improve uptime and keep your farms running optimally without the hassle of needing on-site 24/7 support. We know how annoying on-site 24/7 support can be. It's annoying. The Brains OS Plus Manager helps here. It also will be free for all Brains OS Plus miners. And you can connect to an unlimited number of devices, whether you want it to be your phone, your tablet, your laptop. You can always have visibility into what's going on in your manager on the go at your desk. Security and efficiency were top priorities. Brains OS Plus Manager uses Stratum v2 for smaller and less frequent data transfers, with all ASIC configuration telemetry data being sent via encrypted connections, which protect against eavesdropping and man-in-the-middle attacks. Don't let people jack your hash, freaks. Leveraging Stratum v2 to send this data via encrypted connections is very important. Don't get your hash rate jacked. Be responsible. Get every sat you can out of every hash that you're producing. Don't let people jack your hash. For details on the manager and how to get it set up with your mining operation, go to brains, BRAIINS.com/blog and check out the Brains OS Plus Manager launch article. Again, that's brains, BRAIINS.com. And then again, Slush Pool is going to get a major update soon here. Don't know when. It hasn't been launched yet, obviously, but it's going to include ultra flexible payout system, customizable mining reward splitting, and best of all, dark theme. Make sure you're managing that hash rate and your eyes are okay. Follow at @slush_pool on Twitter to see the announcement when the pool update goes live. And enjoy this rip with the ZEBEEDEE and Mint Gox team. We're building the future, freaks. People are like, oh, Bitcoin's not interoperable with all these other blockchains, these cryptocurrencies. We don't need a bartering token economy, freaks. We don't need it. Bitcoin's becoming interoperable with the internet stack, with video games, with VoIP, with podcasting, RSS feeds. That's where the signal is. That's where the interoperable signal is. Enjoy. Take
You've had a dynamic where money's become freer than free.
If you talk about a Fed just gone nuts, all the central banks going nuts.
So it's all acting like safe haven.
I believe that in a world where central bankers are tripping over themselves to devalue their currency, Bitcoin wins. In the world of fiat currencies, Bitcoin is the victor.
I mean, that's part of the bull case for Bitcoin.
If you're not paying attention, you probably should be.
What is up, freaks? Welcome back to Tales from the Crypt. The Zoom, this meeting is just being recorded, just like literally started happening today. It's really throwing me off. Very excited for this episode. Sitting back down with the ZEBEEDEE team and the Mint Gox team, Desiree from Mint Gox and Lightning Labs, Christian from ZEBEEDEE, and new guest, Michael Tidwell. Very excited to have Michael on the podcast from ZEBEEDEE as well. What's going on?
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. I was telling the story of how we DJ Seeds became the developer for TFTC.io and our Bitcoinization of the website and the stack. And you were involved. We were in FiDi drinking beers with Dan Anderson, and DJ was there. He was like 19 at the time, and I believe I was feeding him beers, which is illegal. So
yeah, I don't remember that part. I don't remember you giving any underage alcohol or being involved in anything like that. But I do remember giving up. I think you gave me 50% equity in the whole project, and I think I gave that all back over time slowly.
Thank you.
So,
I need it.
Yeah, I wanted you to earn it back though. So now that you've made it, you've earned it. Yeah.
Thank you. It's good.
It's strange going to the States from the UK because we can like drink when you're like 16 in some places, and when you're 18 you can fully drink, but then you go to the States and you're like a kid again. But you can buy a gun or something.
Yeah.
You can't have a beer. I remember going to Walmart and like you don't sell alcohol in your supermarkets, but they had like a Hello Kitty shotgun, which was
depends what state you're in.
Okay. It was Florida.
Yeah.
The American way is buying a gun before you buy your first beer. It's the American way.
Well, you'd be sober at least, I guess. That makes sense.
Exactly. Responsible gun ownership. You can't be drunk. But with that being said, there's a strong teenage drinking culture in America as well. They make it illegal, and so the teens wanted it. I know I did.
Magical sound just happened.
What was that?
Oh,
I don't know, but I liked it.
Oh,
I feel like you said this magical age of underage drinking, and it was like
got it downward. Let me see if it was this one. No, it wasn't that one. But enough reminiscing about teenage drinking and feeding teenagers beer. What's going on? Last time we talked, you guys were just about to launch the CSGO server. You showed me a demo. You guys integrated like the Lightning Network payments, QR codes. I'm forgetting the name of that integration off the top of my head like an asshole. But LNURL, but you guys had like a...
You're talking about Infuse, right?
Infuse. Yes, I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
And Christian, we were talking before we hit record. You said you guys went from like a couple users on the server to over 10,000 in over a month.
Yeah, like adding CSGO really basically brought in a bunch of new people from outside of Bitcoin. So we've got a bunch of like CSGO gamers coming in, and they don't know anything about Bitcoin. They keep calling it stash instead of sats. They want to get more stash, like,
Really?
So yeah, it's pretty funny, But yeah, it's just like it's a kind of thought we had at ZEBEEDEE when we initially started. It's like I've kind of been involved in like Bitcoin gaming since like 2013, and even did some blockchain gaming, let's say. And like nobody wants to play crappy games called block wars or like crypto fighters, like some people do, but it's not, I'm sure it's possible to make a good game. It's just very, very difficult to make a good game. So once we realized it's possible to integrate Lightning, Bitcoin, into an existing game, we thought, this just has to work. So yeah, CSGO was the one we chose because it's like one of the 3 pillars of eSports gaming. It has something like 20 million active users. Yeah, so we've basically just brought it in, and we're growing, and we almost have to kind of slow down a bit because we can't keep up with the development, but the development is going well.
What are these native CSGO players that are coming to your servers and playing for Bitcoin? What are they saying? Like, Michael, you're just mentioning Discord. I don't know if it was the ZEBEEDEE or CSGO Discord. Are people excited about it? Do they even understand what's going on?
Well, like I said, some people do. Obviously, like the lowest hanging fruit we've got are people who like CSGO and Bitcoin, right? So we got a lot of like people who are like into Bitcoin and like say in their 30s and like, oh my God, I haven't played CSGO in like years, but I'm gonna start up again just because now it has Bitcoin in it, right? They can kind of justify it in a way. So those people love it and get it. The people who don't know Bitcoin, the first thing they kind of say is like they love getting something for playing CSGO, but a lot of what they say is, well, how do I sell my stash? Like they don't get that they want to hodl it yet. They want to basically liquidate it straight away, which is fine. But I think they'll probably go down the rabbit hole in 10 years, like, oh my God, I liquidated that Bitcoin I won on CSGO. And, that's like worth, $1,000 now or something, right? I think we've all had that. So it's kind of interesting seeing them going through the learning curve, but it's just nice that they can kind of get Bitcoin without having to kind of, you know, KYC and buy it on an exchange, etc. They can just have to get it by playing games, right? So I think it's like gaming is a great way to introduce people into Bitcoin. It's nice seeing that happening. Like I've got other friends who've got into Bitcoin where they've just like, well, let's say crypto, they've just gone to like Coinbase and downloaded this like Ethereum, as they call it, or something. They always like pronounce it wrong, right? And they're just like seeing it like, oh, it went up $5, oh, it went down $5. But seeing people actually getting into Bitcoin through CSGO, yeah, it's quite nice to kind of see it being done that way.
That's like the thing. I mean, that's like what does it for me, where it's like, I mean, just like being at Lightning Labs and, you know, obviously being in such a kind of privileged position to see everything that's being built on Lightning and kind of in this ecosystem, and thinking about, okay, how do we grow the network? How do we bring more users on board? And then, I mean, it's just like gaming is just like, to me, it's just like light years ahead of like actually onboarding the masses of people. Because it's like, think about like all the friction that's involved in buying Bitcoin, like starting it. It's like, okay, like I got to go like figure out where to buy it. There's all this like, okay, Coinbase, where do I buy it? Then it's like, okay, like, you know, like Chris said, it's like, okay, I got to KYC, I got to figure all this out. Like the barrier to entry is so high, and then you have to spend your own money. And like, there's obviously some like inherent risk involved in that, especially for someone who's not following this ecosystem. So it's like, hey, if I can just come, like the only friction is like actually just playing. So maybe like the friction is like getting set up on Steam, or like downloading a mobile game, like one of the Thunder Games mobile games. Like that's the only friction. But then like you're playing the game and you're having fun, so you're already like, you know, that's already kind of a net neutral, because like, okay, sure, I, you know, got up and running with the game, but now I'm having fun. And then on top of that, you're earning sats, and like you're earning real value for like the fun that you're already having. So really the barrier to entry is like extremely low. And so like, to me, it's just like literally the most logical on-ramp to onboard masses of people. And then especially with like these new generations of people who are like addicted to like the fast casual mobile games, and also just, you know, this like new generation of people who are kind of like beginning to socialize and like interact online through gaming. And so, I mean, to me, it's like, this is really how we're going to introduce the next generation of Bitcoiners. But then, I mean, I will also say, like, I mean, we've also always talked about how like the UX of Bitcoin is so bad, it's so hard, but like, let me tell you, like, ZEBEEDEE, like nobody's talking about this, but this Infuse product, I am telling you, it is so easy to use. The hardest thing that I've heard from people who want to get up and like start playing, the hardest thing to do is like download Steam. Like the Infuse product is so seamless. It's like, it works every time. Like literally Steam crashes on my computer more than like Infuse. So it's like what they're doing is like so incredible and so seamless. And that's how you know you have like good UX, is that people don't give you credit because it just works. And so they deserve all the kudos in the world for that. And then the wallet is amazing too. It's just so user friendly and really geared towards gamers. So people need more credit. Just saying.
Just to jump in there, I think just quickly, Desiree mentioned onboarding the next generation of Bitcoiners through gaming. Des and I actually did like a presentation to 5th graders. And today I got a bunch of letters from Ohio, from like 5th graders. I haven't read them yet. I think I took a look at one, but it's all these like kids, like 5th grade. How old is that? I don't know. It's like
10 or 11, I think?
Yeah, but they're like saying like, oh, I'm really into gaming and now I'm gonna like try Bitcoin. It's really cool. I like what you're doing, etc., etc. So that's like really cool to see, actually. So
you have to post those on Twitter. That's adorable.
It is, yeah. I'm gonna enjoy reading through them.
How did you pitch it to the 5th graders?
I basically, I think what they liked is when we kind of did like a Google Hangout, I did my background like a kind of gamer, kind of Twitch streamer, because I know like anecdotally my nephews and everything, they all like the 2 jobs that people want to do. Number 1 is they want to be a YouTuber, and number 2 is they want to like build games. So I made like, I think it was one of those career day type things. So Des and I were on talking about what we do. So I thought, you know, if I have the nice background with like the mic and the gaming chair and the gaming lights, that'll get them. And they seem to find that interesting.
You can combine gaming and YouTubing these days. This dude's crush it, like the Nick Mercs of the world. And
well, yeah, well, that's kind of another thing we're focusing on at ZEBEDEE. It's not necessarily integrating Bitcoin into games per se, but is integrating Bitcoin into like game streaming, right? So what like it's we have something called a gamer tag, which if you download our wallet at ZEBEDEE.io, you can find it there. You can basically you choose a name. So my name would be like Mandel, that's my avatar, and then that generates me like a kind of like a static QR code tip page that I can point anybody to. But I put that on my stream, so as I stream, people can kind of tip me, and we're going to like do some work on that to make it a bit more interactable. So when somebody tips you, it'll kind of animate or something. It will have some sort of reaction. So I really think that is, I think gaming has evolved in a way. It's not something you do by yourself per se. It's something you do socially with people on the internet. So I really think that's a great way to get people onto Bitcoin, because I think tipping was tried before. Tipping has always been tried in Bitcoin, but it's never really had that connection. But I think if you combine it with like game streaming and like Twitch chat, and the people are talking, and when they talk, you can see who's paid the tip and all this kind of stuff, I think that could really take off.
Yeah, from the podcasting side, with Sphinx, with Sphinx specifically, that's actually one of the cooler interactions of the boost with the animation that it has. We've accumulated more sats from boost, individual boosts, than actually streaming sats minute by minute. And it's interactive, like, and you can tell like at the minute mark, like when people are boosting to like a certain point, and it comes with an animation. And as people are listening, it's sort of like rewatching a Periscope when you see the hearts come up as you're listening. It's like that.
Yeah.
So you have that sort of social cue. It's really interesting how like the UX and the UI, particularly around animations, and incentivize particular actions from the.
Yeah, I feel like gaming devs kind of know this, right? If you have like Candy Crush, it's all about making like little tunes and animations that give it a slight little bit of dopamine or something, and that kind of Skinner box thing. So I think, yeah, I think that's something that Bitcoin tipping it kind of missed or hadn't done properly.
Yeah. Do you guys miss change tip at all?
Wasn't it like that? Was not with Coinbase or something? Because Coinbase had one, and didn't like they something or one? I can't remember.
Dan Held was behind change tip. You could just like tweet at somebody and be like, "Hey, tag."
Yeah, because Coinbase had it, but I think Coinbase dropped it because change tip came out or something, and then it kind of, I can't remember. I have to look that up, but yeah, I remember it. But again, I think these are all cool ideas, but I think that's what you have with technology, right? Like sometimes if you're the first person to do it, it's just a little bit too early, right? I can see that with Fold, right? So Fold, I remember when we used to do Starbucks cards, didn't they, right?
Oh yeah.
We're back in the day, and then he disappeared and came back with Lightning and pivoted a bit. So it's interesting, the kind of the first wave of companies trying to find what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. It seems like you guys are finding out what works. So let's like jump into Infuse. Like, as you mentioned Steam and then Infuse separately. So let's talk about the workflow. I know you mentioned it the first time you guys were on, but what's it look like from a user perspective when you're going to use Infuse and play CSGO and collect sats for that?
Yeah, well, first thing you have to do is you have to download CSGO from Steam, and it's free to download, right? So it's quite easy to do. And then you just basically go to ZEBEEDEE.io/infuse and download Infuse. And Infuse is basically like this little widget thing that kind of loads up, and it doesn't take up much of the screen. It just kind of sits next to or above your CSGO game. And you log into Infuse with Steam. And then once you've logged into Infuse with Steam, that kind of like behind the scenes, that links with your CSGO game, which you also kind of log into with Steam. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. You basically, once you've done that, in the little Infuse box, it has a bunch of servers that you can jump into. So we have like sponsored servers at the moment, so one's like sponsored by Pay with Moon or Bitstamp. So they're free to enter. And you click on that, you join a game, you go, pew, 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 shoot people. And then Infuse will tell you how many sats you're kind of earning. And at the end of the game, you can withdraw. It's pretty simple.
So I'm trying to think like the withdrawal process for a first time Bitcoin user? Do they sort of get it? Do you have like a wallet that you recommend, a Momo wallet, or do they sort of figure?
Infuse is technically its own wallet, so it kind of Infuse will hold the sats for you, but you can obviously withdraw at any time. So it works with any Lightning wallet, right? You know, because it just uses the LN URL withdraw protocol. But obviously, we recommend the ZEBEEDEE wallet just because it's like the same node behind the scenes, so everything will work super smooth and super quick.
Yeah.
Thing. But yeah.
People take it off and then like put it on their phone to go spend somewhere else or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm actually doing a podcast with Pay with Moon guy on Thursday, but I think what a lot of people will do is they'll play some games and they'll earn some sats, and some people will hodl it, and some people will maybe like send it to like a Pay with Moon card and spend it to buy whatever they want, maybe half and half. Yeah,
that's the interesting. That's the interesting about Moon too, and I'd be interested to see if you guys would ever integrate something like with like they have their wallet, and you really don't know which part of the stack you're using Bitcoin from.
Is Pay with Moon and Moon the same thing? Because there's Pay with the card and there's Moon wallet, right? Are they separate?
The Moon wallet, MU.
Yeah. Pay with Moon is like a crypto debit card that accepts
I was
Lightning.
informed recently that Pay with Moon is now Moon as well. That's the website is Pay with Moon.
Double N or UN?
No, this is MOON.
We're talking different moons here. We'll bring Just a Moon into the conversation while we're at it. So what are some of like the user tendencies, particularly like new users? Are you finding that some users are really good in using this to accumulate sats?
Yeah, that's one of the issues we have at the moment, which is kind of an issue in gaming anyway, but it become more of an issue when you have sats. It's you get some really good people in there, right? So the first service we had in CSGO, you would have to kind of pay to enter. So you'd have to pay like 500 sats, and then everybody would pay 500 sats, and then that would be like the pot for the game, right? And then the better players would get the larger percentage of that pot, right? So if you got like 90% of the score, you would get 90% of the sats. So obviously we had some like professional players coming in, and we had some new people who wanted to try out who would just basically get owned. But we've managed to address that a little bit at the moment. So with the sponsored servers, everybody kind of gets sats, right? Because you don't have to pay anything to enter. We also have a team mode now. So you can actually play with a team against another team. But I guess that was the main challenge, is just trying to work out the incentives. I know like CSGO has some sort of like ranking system, but then people can kind of game that a little bit. I think they call it smurfing, where somebody will try and they're pretty strong, but they'll somehow get like a low ranked account.
I remember doing that with Halo.
Yeah. But we have like moderators. So big shout out to the moderators. We have like people from the community. So we've got quite a good community that's evolved around Infuse now. So they are always in the servers, keeping a watch out. They're in the Discord. So if somebody's kind of doing something to spoil the fun, they'll give them a warning or kick them, etc. etc. But it's just quite exciting, and it's still evolving. I think Infuse has only been out really since maybe late January or something, not long. So we're kind of learning as we go, but it's just insane how much it's grown in these past few months.
Well, it's insane the incentive mechanisms you can build in with Lightning. Like I'm thinking, would you guys ever think about putting in a staking function like Sphinx has for commenting? Like if somebody's in our tribe in TFTC, to mitigate spam or incentivize spam, when they make a comment, they have to stake. I think our stake's like 100 sats or something like that. And if I don't deem it like spam or trolling, I get their sats back after 3 hours.
Yeah,
I get to take the sats from them.
I think it depends on the stakes of the game. So we have different servers.
I've never done it, by the way.
But obviously, the more Bitcoin you put in a server, so say the Bitcoin's 10,000 sats to enter the server, and it's lots of prizes, you'll get more kind of people trying to, game it and cheat and all this stuff. But if the server's lower, 100 sats, the pro players won't go in there because they're not going to earn as much as the higher ones. So we generally the thinking at the moment is if the higher stakes are there, maybe we require a little bit more from the users to enter. So like not just anybody can enter, maybe they have to deposit or they have to have like a premium account. So I think CSGO has like a premium account where you pay like $15, but that just makes it, if someone gets banned, they can't quickly or cheaply make a new account because they have to pay for it. Yeah. So it's all about trying to manage that. But at the moment, I think it's going quite well, actually. So I'm surprised, we do have like some people cheating now and then, but for the most part, like 99%, it's going well. But again, that goes to the moderators who are doing a great job.
And how's the technical management going on the backside, like channel management, node management?
I think this is great where we get Michael in, because he's actually the guy who makes sure everything runs, the unsung hero. He's like the node master at the ZEBEEDEE.
Master of the node?
Master of the nodes.
At least transitioning to become that a master of lightning. I don't know if I'm there yet. Every day is another day for it. But yeah, so in terms of channel management and stuff, it's mainly just topping off channels, because a lot of what we're doing is one way. We're paying out. So balancing the channels, is probably 99% of channel management there. So nothing too fancy in my opinion. We have a pool of nodes that we pull from, and each ones are, first level citizens. We don't have any kind of fancy, setup where we're routing, all of this through that. They're all just, we have a pool of nodes that kind of round robin between with our infrastructure. So yeah, not too much, but I kind of want to jump into the CSGO topic specifically, because it's kind of interesting. Because when you start adding in this permissionless decentralized money into a game where anyone can just join and get some, we see, I think some of the interesting things is seeing the creativity from people trying to farm it in different ways, whether it be just someone constantly playing it legitimately for 12 hours straight, or someone trying to set up some kind of automation, and being able to find those things and have, like Chris said, a good moderator group really helps. And I think we're like on our 12th iteration of like stopping farming essentially from being easy. Like I think like originally we had like people would go in with 2 accounts, commit suicide with a Molotov cocktail, and then they would die. They would drop their sats, and they would go pick it up, and they would just keep doing this kind of stuff. And we've just kept iterating and iterating, where now it's like it gets harder and harder and harder to farm it. And now we even have moderators where if they suspect someone is farming, they'll actually report them for farming, and we'll kick them out for that. So not just like wall hacking, which is, I learned, is WH. So whenever you see like cheater reports, we have all these things going into our messaging group. Whenever someone's saying WH, it means wall hack. So I'm learning CSGO lingo here.
What's the wall hack?
Wall hack is where you can, not only does maybe your cursor help you with headshots or whatever, but it helps you know that the person, it'll automatically point to them, even if they're behind a wall, 2 walls, whatever, and your cursor will go to them. And because we've set up a replay system, it's a lot easier to detect these things and verify these claims, because when you're looking at a replay and this guy is just like automatically, and then as soon as he dies, his cursor goes somewhere else, it's very easy. This kind of goes back to the general topic of how do you prevent client side people on their computers from cheating, and ultimately the more complex the game is, the harder that is. As you mentioned, Halo, if you remember, people used to mod on Halo 2 like crazy, right? And they would boost, with like a bogus account, with like a 2-month free trial on Xbox Live, and they would boost and it would get banned, and that's rinse and repeat, right? So even Halo, Bungie struggled with client-side validation, because if you remember at that time, one player in the game on Halo was the host, right? So they had to do all the validation, right? They were the server. Now for us, we're running our own server, so we can run more validation. And it's perfect validation is really hard. The more complex the game gets, the simpler the game is. Like for instance, like a turn-based game like checkers or chess or something, something that's like where it's very like turn-based. It's very easy to do server-side validation, but for something that's like ongoing and, you know, first-person shooter kind of stuff, you know, the wall hacking is pretty hard to prevent because you don't know whether or not the player's just very good or he has some kind of modded client that helps him point at people, right?
I think this is where, like, if it ever takes off, but like Stadia or cloud gaming would really help, right?
Stadia, yeah.
Stadia, yeah. Because then
as long as everyone has the same shitty latency, then we're good.
I mean, like, you know, if, like in the future, if like everyone's on fiber or something, but yeah, but people, yeah, have latency.
Yeah, I have Stadia with Google Fiber right now, where I am, and
it's probably not good for esports though, because esports is very competitive. But maybe like casual gaming, it doesn't matter a bit of latency. But yeah, I can imagine it not really working for competitive esport.
Yeah, like I was just actually before we were hopping on here, Barstool, they posted like a video of like a LAN party, like the first LAN party in Texas after all the lockdowns and stuff, and it was hilarious watching. I think they were playing Black Ops, and they were just getting so intense. Like, could you like replicate these servers, put Infuse in, and do like in-person betting? Like, so obviously you're cutting out the potential for somebody.
Yeah, that's very similar to what we're doing in Miami, where everyone's that's joining these these esport tournament, these games that we're going to be hosting are going to be in person, and it's not going to be, you're not going to be able to cheat there because, you know, all the people that are joining the games are going to be in person. So you're using our, you know, equipment. So
people do cheat in person CSGO tournaments, so there have been like some.
Oh, I
you know, we get found out though.
What are they going to do? Go to, I guess, Google, download something real quick, or plug
a
in
USB stick in or something secretly. I don't know what they do, but there's like been some famous cases where, like, you know, like somebody, like, people be
just make sure whichever one's hacked to win, I want to use that computer when I play. So
this is like another thing that the Lightning Network enables, that you could like integrate, like maybe you stake the whole pool of the game, of the particular game, the payout, the pot, whatever you want to call it. And you wait till like 15 minutes after to make sure you can check to make sure there's nothing modded or no farming or anything like that, and then release it after that.
Yeah, that's actually, so we have a mode called survival mode. If you don't mind, I'll talk about this for a second, where you know, one of the things people would do is they would come in and you start with a certain amount of sats, especially if it's like a sponsored server. And you would start out, let's say, with 1,000 sats as example. And when you came in, you could just quit immediately and take your sats. So that was like, you know, step one to prevent that. And then step two is like, well, now you have to wait in there for, you know, 5 minutes before you can start withdrawal. You know, you have to, you know, survive for, you know, a certain amount of time before you can withdraw. And we've implemented that in some of the games that are continuous, that don't have necessarily like a timer, like rounds. One thing I do want to say though about survival mode that's kind of funny is, if you do happen to play CSGO, and like you know, we're saying this is open right now, people can go, you know, to Infuse, you know, ZEBEEDEE/Infuse, and check this out. The survival mode, you actually drop physical coins. So we've modded the game to where you drop physical, like, you know, sats, Bitcoin there, and you can go pick up, you know, people's Bitcoin. And what I've seen people do is they'll kill someone, and then they'll just camp that body waiting for someone to go and pick those coins up, and then they'll kill them, and then there'll be more coins. And then you're just like, do I risk it and go obviously where I'm about to get killed and pick up a bunch of Satoshis, or do I kind of hold back? You know, it's like this really like emotional thing where it's like, I could just jump in there and run around like crazy and try to collect sats. I know I'm going to die, or am I going to lose more sats by jumping in? You know, it's kind of an interesting proposition to make.
I think the amateurs will they'll go, ooh, shiny coin, and they'll get it, and then like headshot.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much describing me playing Counter-Strike. So yeah.
Well, it's so fascinating, like all these tendencies that have happened, like farming, right? Like, wasn't that like an early Bitcoin story? Wasn't there like a bunch of gamers in Venezuela farming like World of Warcraft gold or something like that and converting it to Bitcoin?
Yeah, whether it be legitimate or not. I mean, you hear about the gold farms back in the day. Well, I don't know about Venezuela, but I definitely knew about Chinese miners for WoW, doing WoW gold stuff. And I want to say, didn't like that BSV guy, Calvin or something, didn't he do that? Wasn't that his?
I think, yeah, he it was his money, I hear, is from like Canadian gambling or something, right? Some sort of online gambling, maybe. I might be wrong.
His riches are made from just farming, just having.
He's in a movie. Somebody told me. Apparently, there's a movie about it, and like one of the characters is based on him. I can't remember what it was. I think who told me that? Yeah, some Bitcoiner told me that. But
Speaking about people farming,
Francis
and
Pulio told me that.
who?
Francis Pulio, I think he told me that because he was from Canada. So he said,
Yeah, Canadian.
Yeah, apparently everybody knows about this kind of thing. He's more famous there apparently, and there was a movie that was based on him.
The you know, speaking about like, you know, well, I'll just call it like third world countries, or just like other world, you know, not like America and Europe, I guess you could say, but like there's this kind of like cool like thing that's going on, this phenomenon, kind of like almost like a funny cool side effect of mint gox and infuse just in general, where people now across the world, let's say, I'll just make up a number, like their monthly wage equivalent in US dollars is maybe $10 or something. But now they're able to get on Mint Gox, a Mint Gox Sunday or Infuse, you know, game or something, and then quickly rack up the same amount of money that they may make in like a whole month, you know, salary. And if you want to think about, like, you know, you hear about these charities where like you give money and 50% of it immediately goes to overhead, and then another 30% goes to this, and then by the time it gets to the actual person, it's only like, you know, 10 or 5% or less or something. So the cool part about the sponsors that sponsor Mint Gox and Infuse and stuff like this is they're literally, we're literally, I think, running the best charity possible. Now, obviously, you know, we talked about there's people every once in a while that cheat and stuff, but 99% of the time we're running, like, I think one of the best charities in the world, which is really cool.
In Gox, we kind of, so we do these CSGO tournaments each month in Mint Gox, and because we give the larger prize afterwards, like the cheaters don't get it, because like we give like 10,000 stats or something. You know, we kind of just check, you know, before we hand it out. But I think the last champion was something like a kid from South America. He's just like, you know, earns more money than his dad did for the last 3 months or something.
Crazy. Well, that's the other beauty of it, right? Like the fact that you can build Infuse, put it out there as software, and it's like a bug.
We actually have at the moment for another game that we developed, which is kind of more like of a tech demo game. There's a Mario Kart game with Bitcoin called Bitcoin Rally, but we got half a Bitcoin. We're doing a half a Bitcoin tournament with that at the moment. So we had 12 people qualify, and they're currently, I think the final, they've done the penultimate race, but the final race will be done at Bitcoin Miami. And yeah, but you know, that's half a Bitcoin up for grabs, you know, for the
winner, or like for second, third place.
The winner gets like 0.25, and then we kind of, you know.
Well, I mean,
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Looking at it, but you know, we are doing the next Mint Gox in person at Bitcoin 2021, and it's going to be absolutely massive. 2 days of insanity, insane Bitcoin gaming, and I mean, total that we're giving out over those 2 days is over a Bitcoin in prizes, along with like other cool swag and stuff. So like people can come and play and get in on this. So it's not, I mean, the stuff that we've been doing regularly at the monthly Mint Goxes are like just kind of the beginning. Like this is, you know, this in-person event I think is going to really, people are going to get it. They're going to see it in person and see the power, and like, you know, sponsors will get the value add of like, you know, really directly interacting with people who are the users who are playing these games. So I mean, Bitcoin 2021 is going to be massive in itself, but like the eSports tournament is going to be literally smack dab in the middle, and I mean, you can't miss it. So yeah, over a Bitcoin in prices, that's all I'm gonna say. It's crazy.
Des, come on, you guys are working on the Lightning Network, over 100 million sats. We're fixing the unit bias here.
okay, sorry. Yeah, it's over 100 million sats.
No, it's gonna be insane. That's it. I'm actually excited for the Mint Gox tournament, particularly because from what I hear, Matt Odell's working closely with the Bitcoin 2021 crew, and there's people from outside the Bitcoin world that are going to be there that you wouldn't expect, and like this caliber person seeing like how Bitcoin's getting integrated into pop culture.
I actually check my Discord. Let me ping someone, because you know, we were planning to name drop during this podcast, but you know, we're still kind of like
name drop.
We mentioned.
What'd you say? Yeah. Our lips are sealed until
Someone who may or may not do extreme sports.
Extreme. Oh, no, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, no, but we'll announce it. I'm gonna ping, see if we can release.
When are you supposed to announce it?
It was supposed to be. I mean, we're just like waiting for the right approvals. You know, you gotta like have all the pretty language and say all the right things. I mean, it's official, but
This is Bitcoin. You don't need to do that.
We know how far this podcast reaches the ears of many, including Janet Yellen and SEC and
Janet, she's right here. I gotta give her.
Yes, I see. So
yeah, she's now it's bugging me.
Currently the head of the U.S. Treasury, right?
Yeah, she's the head of the U.S. Treasury. She had some strong words for Bitcoin last week.
Is it a promotion or a lateral move to go from the head of the Fed to the head of the Treasury? Or is it just, what is that? Promotion, lateral, or promotion?
When she's there right now, it's really lateral, right? Because the Fed and the Treasury have sort of merged in the last year, where there's really no separation. So she's basically co-Fed chair woman with Jerome Powell, even though they've been like fighting with each other publicly, which has been incredible.
You have to at least let the public know that there's not collusion, right?
I mean, they like to pretend like there isn't. Publicly state that the Fed is private and is separate from the Treasury, but they've completely merged. I actually had a good episode, Maddie Mazinksius from the Crypto Voices podcast, a great Bitcoiner, last week, episode 250, I believe, where he explains that Treasury Department actually has like a $2.5 billion bank account with the Fed. Just like it's literally like their bank account, which has never happened before in the history of the Treasury and the Fed, and like they're literally conjoined. They're just printing money and giving it.
I had heard that Janet Yellen was quite sound because there's this economist I follow who's like one of those old school Republicans, kind of Austrian thinking, the government spends their money, blah, blah, blah. And he always vouched for her. Then when she gets the job, it's like in England, one of our leading politicians in the government, he's the son of the author of The Sovereign Individual. And before he was Jacob Rees-Mogg. So Lord Rees-Mogg is one of the authors. And before he became like a politician, he said all the right things, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and as soon as you become a politician, it's just interesting. Like, I kind of think if you become a politician, do you like go into a room and then the aliens are there, and then you kind of see how it really is? And
I don't think it's I think you just like see on paper like how fucked up everything is. It's like, oh shit. It's like we either get chaos or I just pretend like I completely shifted my worldview.
Yeah.
I believe, Chris, that the lizard people are there to help with the introductions to all the levers of the world, and there's a room with just levers that control the whole inner workings of the world. The lizard people control that. So
I want to become prime minister just to see if that happens. Like after that, I'd quit like after day one, but just to see like the first meeting, right?
No, you walk into the room, the lizard people sacrifice someone. They say, if you fuck up, this is you.
They probably kill me and steal my skin, right? And one of them gets it, and then I'm not me anymore.
And then you're blinking like this, like from side to side. It's
there's a filter for that, don't I? Is there a filter now?
Haven't fallen down the lizard people rabbit hole in quite a while. It's always fun to rehash. Yeah. The lizard people conspiracy theory. They're among us. Be aware, freaks. I could be one.
It's out of fashion these days, I think, right? It's one of those like the 90s.
David Icke.
David Icke, yeah.
Like
yeah. He pops up now and then, actually, in England, because he's like English, isn't he?
Marty, yeah. The reason we haven't really seen a whole lot of lizard people in the flesh, like with their lizard skin, is because, going off the flat Earth theory, they're on the other side of the Earth. They're on the other side of the pancake. We're on the top side. They're on the bottom side. So that's why we don't see them often. Can
they like crawl over though? They can only crawl over because they have like the talons to climb to the side of the Earth, but we can't. We're...
I think you've dug into this conspiracy a little bit more than I have. So,
people.
One of the actually earlier Bitcoin. So, I used to live in Japan, and the Bitcoin meetup there was made by Roger Ver, and his second in command. I'm not going to name him, but he was like, basically was with Roger started. I think it's like the second Bitcoin meetup that ever happened. I think the first one was in California, but the one in Japan was the first. But he was like a massive flat earther, and later became a BSV guy, and now he thinks Craig Wright is Jesus.
Shocker.
But a really nice guy, though. It's like a really cool guy. He's a good friend, but it's just interesting talking to him and having.
I think there's still something to be said about flat earthers and BSV. You know, in terms of like knowing the truth. You know, they just once you know the truth, you just keep going, I suppose.
Yeah. There's something like, you know, that. Well, I guess that's common. I think even normal Bitcoin and even like stuff like, you know, CrossFit or whatever, like we know the truth and the others don't. And that's, you know, we want to tell them the truth.
Yeah, when you get into that, it's like, well, I do this to detox and this exercise, and then eating for your blood type and then eating for your body type, and all it all meshes at some point. It's some vertex, all these things combine, and BSV is one of these circles that combines into that.
Yeah, if you're not eating meat and sunning your balls every day, you're not a true Bitcoiner. Sorry, Des. That was a little.
No, Des agrees, I'm sure.
I think I wouldn't be here if I didn't, right?
So let's talk more about the Bitcoin 2021. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, what is being played? CSGO only?
No, everything. But CSGO is definitely kind of the main event, along with Bitcoin Rally. There's going to be a lot of like kind of free play sessions, so people can come and play like as they wish in demo games, including CSGO and Bitcoin Rally. We're going to have Sat Stacker. What'd you say? Oh yes, a new game. Are you going to talk about that now, or are you going to just like announce it there? Which
casually mention it. Yeah, I've made stuff public about it, but we haven't shown anything. But yeah, sorry.
Tease the audience. Come on.
It's basically like, yeah, Smash Brothers.
Oh.
That was
Bitcoin Rally is Mario Kart with Bitcoin. This new one is Smash Brothers with Bitcoin. Like, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel with these internal games. They're more just kind of fun things that we can play at Mint Gox and kind of show what can work, etc., and experiment.
That was another one of my games, Smash Bros. It was always Link. I was crush it with Link.
I should give credit, because I actually think I would say it was probably because of this show that I'm making this Smash Brothers game. Because I remember you did a show with Lightning Caller, and you were talking about putting Bitcoin into Street Fighter, I believe. And would it be cool if like somebody could punch and they could stream a sat? So I listened to that show, and at the time there was like a hackathon that I couldn't attend in person, but I just thought, I know, I'll just hack that up. So I actually made this kind of Lightning Street Fighter game, and where you would punch, and the wallet, I even made like a Lightning wallet based on LND. So shout out to Lightning Labs there. But like, if you play, if you punch and kick, it would stream sats. And then I actually entered that into a Bitcoin 2019, which was like the Bitcoin Miami book 2 years ago. And I entered it into the competition then and won. And like from the back of that, we kind of formed ZEBEEDEE, and we started to make that game more, and we called it Reiki, but we've pivoted to making it a more of like a Smash Brothers Toon game. So in a way, there's a little bit of credit here for the inspiring the thought.
Wow. I'm flattered. This is crazy. Yeah, no, hey, Smash Bros. I'm happy that's evolved to Smash Bros too, because I would pick Smash Bros over like Tekken or Street Fighter.
Yeah, like, well, like this kind of ties in, like CSGO can be it is like quite a competitive game. So we're kind of making these more fun family casual games, which have more of an Among Us model. So CSGO, you kind of play with anybody, but these games you can kind of play with your friends, if that makes sense.
Calling Smash Bros casual, like it's a pretty intense game.
That's true at the high level, but anyway, but it can be done in a casual way with friends as well.
That can be if you're weak, but it should be done very serious. I'm kidding. Yeah. So now I'm like curious. Are you like replicating like all the exact moves? Like, do you have like a Jigglypuff?
Well,
Kirby's unfair. Let's just say this: Kirby's unfair in Smash Bros. If you play with Kirby, you're weak.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it because we're going to like reveal it later, and it is a work in progress. But like the appeal of Smash Brothers is you can play from different characters from different games, but we obviously can't do that because of the IP. So what we're doing is we're going to like have you would play as different characters from history. So you could play like as like a samurai versus, you know, a cowboy, but we're also going to throw in like some Bitcoin themed characters in there as well. So if you wanted to, you could play against like a cypherpunk versus a unicorn rainbow kid. I won't say which crypto that is. But.
Nah, it sounds Okay, I'm gonna get gaming of 2021. What sticks are you using for that? PS4, PS5 now? What is it? PS5 now?
You mean gamepads?
Yeah. Is it on computer, or are you guys using
Yeah,
like?
it'll be on computer at the moment. Like, we're not really at the point yet to approach the larger consoles. But yeah, they'll be on it. But it'll support like a bunch of different gamepads. You can plug in your PS5 or your Xbox gamepad if you want. But yeah, it'll be PC only because it's just free at the moment, right? We don't have any restrictions if we do it on PC. But once we start to go through like publishers and platforms, then you get things you can and can't do.
Yeah. So gamepads, joysticks, right? So you can bring your own joystick and play.
It like going into dev, like the way we do it, there's like this kind of SDK, which will basically you put in your game and like any controller will work with it. Like if it doesn't, you can like configure it, right? So you can play with like, you can probably play with like a Peloton if you wanted to or something, if you configured it right.
So with the like with all the activity it's increasing with like CSGO and stuff like that, Michael, are you like trying to make the nodes profitable, like routing wise?
No, I'm just trying to make us not have any downtime right now. So I think the routing and also like any ideas of like getting into like the marketplace of channels and all these potential like side things, I think are definitely second priority compared to just making sure everything works. And uh, I mean, I don't know if you've talked to too many people that are running a bunch of nodes, but you know, I'm very optimistic for the future. But last couple months have been a little bit tougher than normal. So mainly just like making sure we have no downtime is the real goal at least at the moment.
Why is that? My node has fallen a couple times over the last.
Yeah, and then like it's just because everything's still really like alpha/beta, and things are getting a lot better. The one thing I do like is the primary node type that we're using is LND, and Lightning Labs engineers and L&D developers have been pretty responsive on GitHub for a lot of things, which has been really nice.
Yay, love to hear it. Love to hear it. Yeah, I mean, do you guys check out Lightning Terminal? That's like my newest favorite thing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question during the thing today, but I wasn't actually. It seems like Lightning Terminal is lit plus features, because I didn't really get the whole like web. I didn't get the whole web selling point. Maybe we could talk about this later, but I don't know if this is how you want to decide into it.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I think you should chill it and then explain it more, because we are, and I'll caveat it with first that we are using lit for all of our nodes, but I mean, I've already kind of exposed it internally, like via like web for us. So I didn't really get the whole like exposing on the internet spiel.
Yeah, I mean, that's all like still like very early, and like more will be coming out on that. Obviously, like the roundtables are a little bit of a sneak peek, but obviously with terminal web, I like we need to, like the names like. Although Lightning Terminal was me, because like the abbreviation was lit, like I came up with that one. Anyways, yeah, I mean, Terminal Web is like awesome because it's like this total like node scoring gamification piece. I mean, something that we were thinking a lot about at Lightning Labs is like kind of the stuff that that Michael's talking about, where it's like, okay, we want the network not just to grow and more people to come on board, but we really want to think about growing a robust, secure, and reliable network. So people can actually like very reliably use the network and stay online. So that was kind of the intention with Terminal Web, where it's like, okay, hey, like, yeah, there's like kind of an interesting like gamification incentives piece, and there's more to be built with that, and a lot of fun stuff that we're going to be doing over the next couple quarters. But really the intention is like, hey, how can we incentivize people to like not just get on the network, but how can we incentivize people to run like strong performant nodes? And so that's where it's like, okay, what's your node score, and if your node score totally sucks, you're unstable or you don't have good peers, really kind of providing the resources and the guides to actually improve your node and contribute to a stronger network is really kind of the intentionality behind terminal web. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new fun stuff coming with that, and yeah, we'll definitely get back on here, Marty. We have way more to share about that.
Well, I just pulled up our TFTC node info. I loved it when it came out. I checked it up.
What is your node score?
Is that like the centrality score, or?
No, it's just like kind of a combination of, I mean, I don't remember like totally exactly. It's like I think Lalu tweeted about it, but it's just like kind of an arbitrary rating, like based on which peers you're connected to, like how stable your node is, like how long it's been online. I think if you pull up
damn, we're number 369 right now.
Hey, that's good.
Is it similar to a boss score?
Yeah, I think it's like it's pretty much based on the boss.
We were number
score,
285. Yeah, our node went down like for like 3 days last week. That's why I think we dropped. But we were number 285.
What percentile you're in? Because that maybe would sound a bit better. Because like 300 something always sounds bad, but if it's like the top 1 percentile.
Yeah, no, that's good. Like, just I've spent a lot of time on there, but I want to do some like fun things to gamify it a bit, like do some like profile badges for people who like hit different achievements and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, if you like actually click on your node and go through, it's like it goes through some insights. Node is online, amount of channels, what like a rating of your routing capacity, global channel stability, like how many good peers you have, etc. So we'll continue to build this out. So this is like very early, but yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of cool community resource to just kind of help.
I wonder what the gamification is when you start handing out badges and like, hey, you have this, you've been up for this amount of time, to become a target for someone who's like, hey, these guys are, I like, in order to get above, like, let's say the top 500, I need to start taking out some of this low-hanging fruit up here so I can get up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of considerations to think about, and that's why I'm glad it's like, not just me thinking about it. So it's like, I mean, I get so excited to do different things where it's like, hey, can we like give emojis to people who do this or whatnot? I'm so like, I have lots of really bad ideas. So thinking of some of those more malicious actions is definitely, something like Ryan or Justin and Lalu, folks on our team will.
So one thing that I've learned recently about Lightning LND nodes, and something I wasn't really privy to before Lightning, was the flap count. If you're familiar with that, every node that you're observing has a flap count, and this is actually like a real term. It's network flapping or route flapping, and y'all are using that as one of the pieces of metadata you can find out about your peers that you're connected to. And anyways, the flap count should definitely be used with these badges. So somehow integrate that in where maybe your peers can give you badges if you have low flap count kind of stuff.
Ooh, I like that. I like it's kind of like, yeah, like giving people stickers or something. I like that. That's a really good idea.
And just for anyone who doesn't know, the flap count is like how often your nodes goes up and down, kind of like if you go offline, if you become unavailable and you come back online. Yeah, it would be like 2 flaps. Almost like, I guess, like wings on a bird flap. I don't know, but I keep wanting to say FAP count, and that Lightning Labs is like monitoring.
You went there, Michael.
Lightning Labs is literally monitoring everyone that runs an LND node, and they're keeping track of the FAP count. Just letting you guys know, it came here first, broke the conspiracy here on the pod. So
everyone here was thinking FAP count when you said it, but you were the only one who had the balls to say it. So thank you.
Keep that FAP count low, freaks. We're considering our T. All right, it's important to keep that FAP count low. Conserving our sats.
Oh.
Yes, you're jumping in on guy talk here. I'm sorry about that.
I know, it's okay. I'm used to it now.
What are you looking for from a protocol development? Like I mean, this is way off. Not even in the conversation here. Code's not even written, but like sig hash any prev out, which would enable L2, like lightweight watchtowers. It's cool. One thing that is live now that Lisa new launched is like the dual funded channels just coming. Like, does that help you guys at all in any way?
Yeah, we have some, like, I mean, we're obviously working on sidecar channels, which is something that we've talked about in one of our recent blog posts. So yeah, I mean, what Lisa's doing is really cool. Was excited to hear her talk at Austin Bit Devs a little bit more about that. Yeah, I mean, there's today, you know, we did like a big roadmap presentation, which I unfortunately couldn't attend all of. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that's in the works. Yeah, I think I'm most excited about sidecar channels just because, I mean, that to me, that's like, I don't know, like on the business side of things, it's like, okay, how do we make it easier to onboard people? And so if, you know, you can, as a merchant, non-custodially onboard somebody to Lightning without having them to commit any upfront capital is like extremely powerful. So I think that's just like kind of like a really interesting tool that I'll be like, and, you know, I mean, I think it's like super technical when we talk about it, but like actually the business case around it is really powerful. So I'm really interested to see kind of the network effects and see people start adopting that, you know, see what impact it has on, you know, really easily onboarding folks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how would that help you guys at ZEBEEDEE? Like, do you think like node?
Well, so right now we are completely custodial, at least for argument's sake. I am not. So I'll admit I am not thinking about all these new crazy, you know, awesome features that we could use just yet. I know like between now and next year, not only are we going to have all these features, or sorry, not all these features, but more features, and then also potential, you know, having L2 and, you know, taproot outputs, and you know, maybe like between now and next year, no channel that exists right now is going to be like even close to a channel that's being created, you know, a year from now. And I hope it's like that. So I'm kind of just, it's kind of like a fire hose, and I'm doing the parts that are available right now. And the future is tomorrow. So I'm learning as I, you know, as I go for some of this. And I'm glad Des is here to tell me what I need to be doing. Now, one thing that is very interesting for companies like ZEBEEDEE who did take the custodial approach, potentially, you know, as things get easier for non-custodial type transactions and engagements, the idea of either having a hybrid model or transitioning in the future, I think is very, very interesting for all kinds of reasons, security, compliant, all, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So
in the early days, we did actually, before you came on board, we did actually come up with plans for this, and even wrote like how it would work, you know. And I think our SDK still supports linking your BTC Pay server. But yeah, it's just I think it's you know, Lightning is still quite new, and even given like high fees and channels, it is quite difficult to do non-custodial at the moment. And we're really focusing on gamers, and to get gamers onto Lightning, we really need to make it as smooth as possible. Like if they have to think about a channel and everything, it's just basically game over.
Yeah.
So we're not really tackling that at the moment.
I mean, I am like very, I mean, this is one thing that like I feel like I'm becoming more and more passionate about. Like, I mean, I am all about being non-custodial and, you know, like really to the day I die, but it's not real, right? Like, I mean, what Michael's saying is like spot on, where it's like, hey, you know, we would love to be or non-custodial if we could, but like, guess what? It's really, really hard to build a super user-friendly, very easy, like seamless non-custodial wallet. It's extremely, extremely hard. So like, I mean, you kind of just have to make that business decision. It's like, hey, do we kind of reap this opportunity and bring on all these users and you know, take this opportunity of a bull market and people pumped about Bitcoin gaming and onboard them as quick as possible, and then transition them to non-custodial when we actually have the tools to build what we're building non-custodially. Like, I think that's like, to me, like that's the decision that I would make. You know, obviously at Lightning Labs, we're trying to like pump out those kind of tools and, you know, enable people to build these non-custodial solutions in the future, but like, you know, I mean, what like ZEBEDEE is doing right now is like, it's just like such like a logical business decision. And like, I mean, hey, we're all Bitcoiners, like we all get it, like everybody wants to be non-custodial, but like what that timeline looks like, what that progression is to getting there is like is going to be different for everyone. And I think that's like totally fine. And so, you know, once the tech is there, I'm sure everybody will be non-custodial.
People can earn enough sats in CSGO to buy like a Raspberry or Raspberry Blitz or a Umbrella, whatever there.
Right. Well, and the other way, like, is there ways you could just create the conditions from which people want to use it in a non-custodial fashion could easily? Like, could you incentivize like subscription?
I think it incentivizes itself generally. I think kind of once you're into Bitcoin custodially long enough, then eventually you're going to hit some sort of annoying like KYC thing or something, and then or you're going to have to like do some sort of annoying tax return or something, right? So I think generally in my experience, like, you know, custodial's fine for small amounts, but once you start to get a bit of Bitcoin and then like an exchange gets hacked or something, then you start to realize the importance of being non-custodial. And I think like it's easier now than ever to be non-custodial, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to make a point that most of the time when users, you know, win any amount of Bitcoin, they can, I think,
take it
take it off to a non-custodial Lightning wallet that they own. So
people don't have to KYC to play our games initially. Obviously, like because we're a company and we're registered in real countries and stuff, like if you start to do a lot, then there is a kind of a layer of KYC. But for most people, like because it's all about micropayments and small amounts, they don't really need anything. They just need like an email address, and then they can just like get Bitcoin withdraw to their other wallet, and they're done with it.
But like in terms of like node management, like you were talking about like a subscription service for CSGO, like a premium service, like as premium servers for CSGO that you were talking about earlier.
No, that wasn't on the Lightning side. That's actually a Steam thing. You can have like a Steam like platinum account, which is like $15. So
I was thinking like if you could incentivize people to open channels with you, like if you open a channel, you get a free premium account or something like that.
Yeah, it's cool. I think there's definitely a lot of gamification around channels. I actually thought of making a game once in the early days about, you know, like something to do with channels, that, you know, how you get a score for how well connected you are, which I guess is what Des was actually is doing now in a way. But I thought
it's like a collab that needs to happen, Chris, like a Lightning Lab ZEBEEDEE collab on Terminal Web.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's I'm actually doing something as well. I'm assisting Nayuta, if you know that company, Japanese Lightning company. So they actually have they're working on like a non-custodial wallet, and also Koji, who works for them, he has a game coming out which uses the ZEBEEDEE SDK, but it links with their non-custodial wallet and does streaming as you play. So there are definitely models there, but obviously, you know, it is like you still need a channel, which, you know, but it's, you know, it's just time, right? I think surely like as the protocol evolves, there's going to be easier ways to do that, and stuff like channel factories, etc. And I'm sure that like Roast Beef has a bunch of ideas. Just probably needs a bunch of soft forks. But
I think it was a really cool idea what you brought up, where you incentivize based on some kind of premium content for the user to have the burden to open up a channel with you to then get potentially paid as well, so the company wouldn't have to open up that channel. I think that's a really interesting idea to gamify the channel, you know, connectivity, right?
A lot of businesses are I think there is an incentive. They're incentivized to do non-custodial, because if you are custodial, then the business has a lot of like regulatory pressure and things it has to do, right? You know, especially like in Japan, it's very hard. It's pretty much impossible to make a non-custodial wallet, because to get their license after like mint gox and coin check, it's basically you have to be rich and play golf with the prime minister to basically get that license. So like non-custodial is the only way to do it there, really.
They got some scar tissue from Mt. Gox.
No, coin check was the main one. Like Mt. Gox was like whatever, but coin check, which was like NEM, right? I think that's like still the biggest bank heist in history, but that was like when they got really strict. Like there were like a bunch of Japanese exchanges, maybe a bunch one, but I can't. They were ready to go with Lightning. Like the dev there is like a proper Lightning bull, and they almost had it ready to go in like an early phase, but they couldn't get the green light, unfortunately, just because of coin check, because of Nem coin.
Nem coin, goddamn Nem coin. The shit coins. They're never going away. I've resigned myself to the fact. Michael, can I sell my rare Pepes at like a inflated price right now?
Yeah, always.
Theo was doing some auctions, wasn't he?
I got some rare Pepes that were gifted me by Joe Looney.
One thing that Bitcoin 2021 might not give a stage to is the rare Pepe type stuff, but remember the smaller one always will have a place for the freaks. So just letting you know.
Yeah, it's been completely commercialized now. You got Adrian Grenier leading an NFT talk at the Bitcoin 2021. It's
really.
I was like seeing Joe Looney like being angry at Christie's on Twitter, like, no, that's not the first NFT. Like, just like, I think he's going to write a book, isn't he, about it to get like the true history, get the facts down.
Well, it's crazy. I like the revision because remember like the ERC20 rare Pepes that just completely.
Yeah, they tried to do it, but didn't have the heart, did it?
No, never has the heart. Rare Pepes with the rise of DeRozan and Junseth, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, yeah. Was it? Didn't he? No, that was Pepe Cash, wasn't he? Was he like sold it to get a car or something?
To remodel his kitchen was the joke.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Well, like I think Pepe Cash actually pumped because that was actually, it was weird because in Japan there was an exchange called Zeif, and they got the license, so they were like a proper like Japanese FCA approved exchange, and the Japanese government came out with cryptocurrencies that it allowed. There's like Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, and Pepe Cash was on there just because Zeif had it on. So that was one of the reasons why it pumped. And I remember going to do my tax return in Japan, and I didn't even pay for an accountant. So the government gives you like this free accountant. I was like trying to explain to her like what Pepe Cash was. Do I have to declare this?
You get a state ordered accountant, like you get a defense lawyer in the U.S. If
Yeah, that's like, I've never heard of that. That whole entire story is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really weird, you know. But then now like Dogecoin, like the richest man in the world likes Dogecoin, so that's even more ridiculous.
God, Elon's caused me a lot of headaches this week as a Bitcoin miner. It's been that uses fossil fuels as an energy source. It's been a long week.
Him already, like I'm over it. God.
Yeah, well, we're on to ransomware now. Miners have been pushed to the wayside. Ransomware is the big boogeyman in the room. We got to ban Bitcoin because everybody's system security is dog shit.
So I want to say where I'm from, Atlanta, something happened big where something got locked up. I can't remember what now. It was like a couple of weeks ago.
Colonial Pipeline. Yeah,
that's it. Something to do with like everyone's freaking out about gasoline and filling up garbage bags of gasoline, and people, and the brightest. So
DC police are like still like negotiating some like ransomware attack as well. Like it's been like months or something that they're releasing all this like spicy information about the police force. So they've been like under lockdown. It's insane.
Well, I feel like every time I hear about the Colonial Pipeline or whatever, or ransomware, it's like one day it's like $5 million, and then it's $85 million. What was the fallout, or how much did they get? What was it?
I actually talked to a woman, Dr. Ellen Wald, who's in the oil and gas industry, and we were supposed to record a podcast 2 weeks ago, but the whole Colonial thing went down. She's like, I can't do it right now. I could like focus on this Colonial thing, and she dug into it. And so apparently, what happens is that the attackers, they'll basically scour public records for insurance claims by the companies, and they'll find the amount that the insurance company will cover. They'll like ask for that amount, or like somewhere right below that. And so they like target these companies and then like go, hey, I need $10 million. You have a $10 million insurance policy. And so that's how they dictate.
Is it working?
Yeah.
These scammers have like customer support lines. Like, so like you can call and they will tell you how to buy Bitcoin. I mean, like they have like full-fledged organizations, like agencies, like real employees. Like, I mean, it's no joke. It's like, it's crazy.
So the best defense against ransomware is not having an insurance policy.
Exactly. It's not
At
worth.
least not a public one, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, it existed before Bitcoin. Like, obviously, it's not as easy to do, but you'd have like a PO box. You'd have to like mail it to the money and stuff.
Yeah. Somebody. It's the reason why it's the biggest FUD now. Some fintech dude wrote an op-ed in the journal today, and he was like, "Yeah, Bitcoin's the first time this ransomware has been enabled." And like everybody's just mentions, like this has been happening since the late '80s. Like you're wrong.
I think that Matt Odell talked about this in his podcast. In a way, it's good that they find out their systems are secured and have to pay like, you know, a large bug bounty rather than like having China and Russia hiding in there secretly, you know, for like until, you know. So maybe it's kind of an inexpensive lesson in a way.
Something interesting that the BitPay guys brought to my attention back like in I think like 2014 or something when I was going to those meetups that Stephen Pear started was the idea where you put Bitcoin on a super secure server. This was also back when like Bitcoin was like, you know, $100 or whatever, but you put Bitcoin on your servers like where they're easily findable. And then, you know, if they ever get stolen, you know, your computer's been compromised or something.
Yeah. Just
anyways,
leave
I just
that file.
Well, that's similar to like the theory that Satoshi is an AI that created Bitcoin as a quantum computing alarm system, since his coins are in like just
paid to public key.
Yeah,
you bring up a very great theory there. I'm on board with that. I wouldn't even call it a conspiracy theory. I'll just call it a conspiracy at this point.
Right. So if Satoshi's coins move, maybe an alarm bell that quantum computing's here. It's one of my favorites. John Newberry made me aware of that theory. I like that one.
That's something interesting that's come up to me just this week was that core developers are not fanboys of the hashing of the public keys that get exposed. So for those, just a quick thing for the people a little less technical, the pay to public key hash thing where you hash the public key and you're paying to a hash of a public key essentially. And this idea where you have a Bitcoin address instead of paying to the public key, and don't do address reuse. Hey, and by the way, this is awesome. This is also quantum resistant because now you don't expose your public key, you just expose the hash. And when you spend it, it's only a very short period of time between where it's in the mempool and then locked into the blockchain that you can actually be, potentially quantum hacked or whatever. And I've always heard that as one of the, selling points for hashing the public key and pay the public key hash and stuff. And now with Taproot, we're completely getting away from that, right? So I think it's interesting. And then Peter Volle on Bitcoin Stack Overflow made his opinion very clear where, public keys should be public, and kind of, it will freak out maybe if Satoshi's coins get moved, but really there's no reason to.
I love Andreas, but I think a lot of this was stuff that Andreas said in like 2015 that like the core devs never said.
Well, so I want to say at one point in time, I think they were on board with the idea that hashing the public key maybe would make them future quantum proof, whatever. And
wasn't the initial,
maybe at least for a time they were okay with that, right? But now that's definitely not the case, right?
Yeah. If the quantum computer does come, like, we got bigger problems than Bitcoin.
Well, it depends how big Bitcoin is by then.
That's true.
Because it's funny that was like a great talking point early days. It's like the quantum computer question comes up a lot, like as FUD, right? And legitimate or not, the answer to that was very simple. It's if quantum computers come around, we got way bigger problems with Bitcoin. But now I'm thinking like shit. 10 years later, I'm like, Bitcoin's becoming pretty big and important. And another 10 years from now, it's like you can't use that. You can't say, we got bigger problems because, Bitcoin will be the money potentially for everything. Right. So
that's when you got to prioritize it, or we should prioritize it.
Like there are algorithms I wouldn't say ready, but they're out there, right? But I guess it's just like there's no point like rushing them and putting them in now, right? But I guess everybody would need to like
Yeah,
move to
there's
26
yeah,
results.
all
It's not
the
gonna work.
yeah, all the like quantum resistant cryptography right now is like pretty much crap in terms of space. And
I saw an ICO for it. They made
oh
it look.
god,
Want-
to do the research for it,
No, like it's a quantum resistant blockchain. You didn't buy into it? Was it just me?
like every transaction's like a couple megabytes or something. Yeah, I mean, then you pretty much have it, right? But those are like huge requirements that Bitcoin doesn't have to deal with right now.
Yeah, we came to talk gaming on the Lightning Network. And now we're stoking quantum FUD. It's fun to talk about this shit. When's everybody getting to Miami?
I'm not allowed out by my prime minister and not allowed in by your president.
What's going on over there, man? What's going on? It's like the UK and Canada. I want to come break you guys free. I mean, we're not much better off in the northeast part of the country, but at least there's...
I guess the dull thing is like all the freedom people left England to go to America, right? So maybe, so that's probably part of it. And I don't know, it's weird because we have a conservative government, but I'm going to go down like a rabbit hole of UK politics here, but yeah, it's strange because like you remember like Tony Blair, probably he was.
Yeah, him and Bush were.
So he was Labour, which Labour I would say is similar to your Democrats. But he wasn't like a proper old school Democrat. So you have like proper old school Democrats who probably like the working class, etc. We had the same thing with Labour, but then he changed to more this kind of like a metropolitan party, right?
I mean, that's what the Democrats are here too.
Yeah, we have the similar thing with Labour, but he was very, very popular. And, because Tony Blair was popular. And since then, in order to get back into power, the Conservative Party basically became Blairite Party. So they kind of, to get elected. So really, they're a party who will get elected rather than having principles, is what I'm saying. So like what a Conservative Party should stand for, I suppose, is generally small government, etc., etc. But to be fair, I would say actually our Prime Minister, I think at his heart, he is quite for liberty and liberal, but we weren't going to lock down initially, but the public demanded it, to be fair. So really, it was actually from the public, which is strange. So in a way, I don't blame the government too much, because it wasn't like they were pressing the people. The people were like, hey, why aren't you locking this down? Italy is locked down. That's kind of how it all started in my experience. But
it never ends.
Man, that's such a lame excuse. Well, if the Italians are doing it, we have to do it. When did that ever come? Man, I'm really happy that America isn't like, well, the Italians are doing it, we have to do it.
Well, how it started, so we had a plan which was similar to Sweden and even Japan. Japan didn't lock down, actually, because they couldn't, because Americans basically wrote their constitution for them. So they couldn't really lock down, but they advised people. And for the most part, people kind of followed the rules and were sensible. But in England, yeah, we were following a similar plan. And
heard you guys are allowed to hug again.
Sorry?
You guys are allowed to hug each other again.
That's crazy. But yeah, our chief scientist behind this, a guy called Niall Ferguson, he even said in an interview, we didn't think lockdown was possible until we saw China do it, and then we knew we could get away with it. Like literally verbatim, he said that.
The guy with the models too? Was that Niall Ferguson or was that somebody?
Right. The guy with the what?
The dude who made the models and then
he made the imperial model. And here's the thing, which he didn't get the press. So he made the imperial model. To be fair, he is a scientist. His job is to do the worst case scenario. So I don't blame him for that. But he actually broke lockdown to have an affair with a mistress. And then that was just not picked up. They mentioned it once in the news, but he resigned from his job and then got a new job, basically working for a new secret government thing who found all the new variants, like the new Indian variant and stuff. So it's a bit weird, but yeah.
Doing research, Chris.
Doing research, yeah, with this mistress.
What I thought was funny is the Montreal came out, and I'm guessing maybe other places came out with how to do safe sex during COVID. And, what'd you say?
They were advocating for glory holes.
Yeah, whoa, that, and hey, make sure you face away from that person, when you're having intercourse, and try doggy style instead of missionary. And it's wait, whoa. Like,
Who gets paid to write that shit? Like, that's my question. Like, I need that job because that's hilarious. Like, you just must like sit around and like drink and like be high all day to come up with.
Well,
Imagine
it's
being
like you don't know if it's a troll or if they're being serious and it's published by like the government or something, or like I don't know.
You have these government workers sitting in the room, they're game theory. You're like, fuck, man, people are definitely still going to have sex, but we need to make sure they're doing it safely. Like, let's brainstorm here, whiteboard, safest way to have sex without getting droplets on each other. Glory hole, done. Put it in the paper, send it out to the public. Cut a hole in every wall.
Actually say glory hole, or are you just being ridiculous?
I'm being dead serious. They were.
I'm dying.
You're gonna have to start filling in all these holes after COVID and lock.
It's a jobs program. Stimulate the economy somehow when you let everybody back out.
Yeah. Okay. Stimulate the economy by filling up the holes. I got you.
Okay, you guys. There's just so much sexual innuendo going on.
It's not innuendo. It's very straightforward.
Advice.
All right. Michael, Des, I'll see you in Miami.
Yeah, I'll be there Monday.
I will not be there Monday. I wish I was getting there Monday.
Yeah, I'm super excited that because there's so many Bitcoiners in the city at one time, there's all these events going on, which is going to keep everyone pretty occupied. My only fear is because ZEBEEDEE has such a big presence at Bitcoin 2021 that I'm not going to be able to go out and see other things because of everything that's going on with our our area. You know, and we might have the coolest area, which is good. So at least
people will come to you. People will come to you.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yeah, Tidwell's going to be hosting actually, so it's going to be fun.
TikTok's going to be hosting. What'd you say?
Tidwell's going to be hosting. Michael is. So.
Tidwell is what they call me.
Tidwell.
Mike 20, I guess is the name. Mike 21.
Because speaking about Halo 2, it's Mike 20, you know, all these things were taken on Xbox Live. I had to come up with something and it worked, and I just use that for the rest of my life. So yeah. Life story right there.
The gamer tag that never left got tagged to me.
Make sure to download ZEBEEDEE wallet and get your gamer tag now.
Yeah.
Mine is Des. If anybody wants to send me sats, DES.
Get the shills in. What else do we need to shill here? Download ZEBEEDEE.
On the ZEBEEDEE wallet, join the Mintgox Discord and the ZEBEEDEE Discord. Follow us on Twitter. All the cool stuff is there.
I'll link to all that.
Miami. Even if you're not in person in Miami, you can still join the tournaments virtually. But yeah, Discord to join and get in on this like 100 million sats of prizes.
Yeah, so we are streaming like the whole 2 days to our Twitch, the Mintgox Twitch. So we're going to be doing like things that the audience can participate in remotely. So the CSGO servers are open 24 hours, and I'm sure that we're going to up the amount during the conference because we have to give away a whole Bitcoin. We're going to have like quizzes and stuff, which will give away sats. Bitcoin rally tournaments. We're going to have like Saratobi, like my mobile game, and Jack from Thunder Games. He's doing something. So yeah, even if you're not going to the conference, you can still get involved.
I feel like we're going to make a lot of millionaires at this conference. Like we're going to give away millions of sats to many, many people. I have a feeling.
Get your ass to Miami, or get your ass on the Discord and then the Mintgox. I'll see you freaks. I'll see two of you in Miami. And Chris, you'll be missed. It's always a pleasure. Peace and love, freaks.